guys? John Claymore here, and it's been a while since I discussed this woman, but I want to discuss her now. Of course, I'm talking about Dr. Karlyn Borysenko. Now, I may have butchered the name a little bit, but my voice has been kind of messed up. By the way, guys, I got a few days off work. This video here will be out on Tuesday. I have my Chris Cuomo video, or Fredo Cuomo. That video will be out tomorrow, which of course will be Monday. I'm making this video on Sunday night. It's just an extra video that I wanted to make tonight. I'm also going to make a couple more tomorrow. One of them is going to be on Alec Baldwin, his interview with George Stephanopoulos. I'm going to wait till a little bit more of that comes out before I can actually go through my actual debunking process. So make sure you guys stick around for that one right there. That video will be made tomorrow and probably released tomorrow afternoon, probably late in the afternoon around 4 o'clock. I got a few days off. Now, really quick, before we dive into this topic that I'm about to speak about, because what I'm going to be talking about is why it is that certain white liberals who claim to be disaffected liberals should not be allowed in the Republican Party or allowed around conservatives. I'll explain that here in a second. Of course, I've done several videos on her takes for critical race theory, but I wanted to especially go into this one here because there's a lot of things that can be easily explained about her views and her beliefs that I never got to really touch on in those previous videos. By the way, my stances on her have not changed, but I think I have a better understanding of who she really truly is and why she is the way she is. So I want to go ahead and dive into that. But guys, before we do that, make sure that like button, make sure you guys subscribe, share the video, sign up in the comment section. I actually want you guys to also critique the video. I got a brand new phone. Of course, I got the new iPad and all that stuff there. Got brand new technology. I'm doing this video in a higher resolution. Excuse my language once again. I'm doing this in a higher resolution. So guys, make sure you guys please give me some critiques. Let me know how the video actually looks, the lighting, the setting, the coloring. Of course, like I said, this video will be out on Tuesday. I did the previous video that I did earlier tonight in that same, in a more cinematic tone. Just let me know how you guys feel about it, all right? So let's go ahead and dive into this. Now, look, we've discussed Karlyn's views on critical race theory and why she does not think that critical race theory is anti-white. I disagree with her completely. I laid out my reasons in a previous video, which, by the way, I will leave in the comments section. Also, something else too, there will be some changes to Command 33 coming up in the near future, so make sure you guys stick around for that too. But the thing is this right here. I have already given out my side of the story of why I feel that she is wrong about this issue, that the idea is to paint success as a whole as a sort of a brand of type of whiteness, okay? Like everything that has to do with success, whether you are white, black, Hispanic, or Asian or whatever, I believe that they do that right there because they're just trying to make it look like it's actually white. You know, it's like anything that's good is seen to be white, or anything successful is seen to be white. That right there is something that they're trying to do. And of course, they lump everybody in there. But what I really want to speak about is these tweets that have been unearthed by another Karlyn Borysenko handle that I've actually had some engagement with over the past few weeks on Twitter, just kind of gauge a little bit. Now, I'm looking at a lot of these tweets, and I realize if you are a disaffected liberal and you want to leave the Democratic Party, and let's say you want to vote Republican, or you want to be a conservative, normally what happens is that, and I want to make this point before I actually dive any further. Typically, when liberals have that red pilling moment, like when they actually when they realize that what they've been going for, what they've been voting for, what their feelings have been are not true, or they find out something and they decide to say, well, this right here is not for me anymore. Normally, when they cross over into moderate territory, they normally don't go back. All right, they normally don't. Okay, typically. And there was another YouTuber named Beheezy who made this point, and he was actually right. Typically, some of the best Republicans, some of the best conservative fighters are actually former Democrats. Ronald Reagan was a former Democrat. Trump was a former Democrat. Charlton Heston, he was a former Democrat too. Several of these people who were actually conservatives came from that Democratic cloth. They came from that somewhat social-oriented, social issues cloth, and they realized that, wait a minute, there's a better way. Now, let's be honest. Go ahead and throw this out here. The road to hell is always paved with good intentions, okay? And I don't think Karlyn understands this because a lot of things that she's been advocating for and saying are not things that would actually help the conservative movement going forward, especially not the America First movement. So when a person has that red pilling moment, they typically come over and they typically stay. Now, you're probably thinking to yourself, well, what about conservatives that suddenly become liberals? I'm sorry, conservatives don't really become liberals. They may become an anti-candidate, or they may join up with the other side for selfish reasons or whatever, but they're not very good at making the liberal argument, if you know what I'm saying. You can't have a former conservative go on a network and then suddenly become a liberal and actually be good at it. Michael Steele is a great example of it. He was a very, very weak, rhino-type Republican, a very, very liberal one, who crossed over because he hated Donald Trump. George Will, for years, had people fooled that he was actually a conservative, when in reality, he ended up being kind of a leftist, or he's adopted leftist ideology. Not very good at. Bill Kristol grifted. And of course, you've got some people who came from the left to the right that do grift. Ann Coulter, of course, being one of them. I can't stand Ann Coulter. I personally blame Ann Coulter for 2012. But back to Karlyn. And I know I took a second. I know I took a little bit longer than I need to ramble about other people. But Karlyn, the thing about Karlyn is this here. When Karlyn came over using the whole critical race theory thing, I made a point in a previous video that Karlyn Borysenko is in an area of the country, I think she's from Vermont, New England area, where she does not live around people of color. Now, by the way, you guys are seeing some of these graphics. I'm using some state numbers, actual racial statistics that I'm speaking over right now in some of these states to kind of break down the point. You see, where I live out here in North Carolina, I think the African-American population is right around 20%. So chances are, if you live in North Carolina, you went to school with somebody of color. Chances are you got along with them. You may have befriended them. Of course, I have several black friends. Of course, somebody's going to say, well, that's exactly what the hell white racists would say. No. I work with black people. I serve with a lot of black people. I grew up with black people. Trust me, I've never been able, I've always felt like, hey, look, I do very, very well with people of different races. We also have a high Hispanic population where I'm from, too. I'm from rural North Carolina. So I was around people of color all the time. All right. So when this right here happens, you see that people down here typically tend to get along a lot better. My God, Georgia, they've been getting along for years. Once Jim Crow ended, people got together. It took a while, but they worked together, and they actually became friends, and they began to actually see one another for who they really truly were. Race was not a big deal. Kids play with one another. White kids play with black kids. Black kids play with white kids. One of my favorite lines I ever heard was Bill Russell saying that my kids play basketball with both white kids and black kids, okay? You see what I'm saying? Race is not that big of an issue down here. It never has been, but to northern white liberals it is. Now, by the way, I'm not saying this to upset anybody from the north, okay? I know I got people who are subscribed to my channel who are from above the Mason-Dixon line. This is not what this is for. I'm talking about people like Karlyn Borysenko who suddenly come over thinking that they can change the party from within. You don't win elections by liberalizing your party, even though the Republican Party has gotten a little bit more moderate. Moderate and liberal are two different things. Moderate is taking more centrist positions, okay? Liberalizing your party is completely opening yourself up for things to be changed within that, quite frankly, are not on the platform and things that we don't really truly believe in. It's actually a great way to lose. And even though Karlyn Borysenko may not be meaning to be an actual snake, she kind of is. You see, she's taking positions that are anti-2A, okay? Conservatives, we're all about the Second Amendment. Most moderate to libertarian-leaning people are typically pro-2A, pro-First Amendment. Karlyn claims she's not a fan of cancel culture, but yet Karlyn Borysenko has actually canceled and blocked people for disagreeing with her on her platform. That right there is a trope of the actual leftists. They don't agree with discord. I remember she went on Adam Krigler's show a while back and tried to educate him on CRT and basically tried to say the exact same nonsense that I've done videos on. Now, really quick, about Adam Krigler. Adam Krigler had his red pill moment back in 2020. He decided to vote for Trump, decided to come out with it because he got tired of liberals. He got tired of being around liberals. Karlyn Borysenko, she's claiming that she decided to cross over because the liberals were kicking her out. It's a completely different thing. You see, Adam left. Tim Pool, for example, for the most part, has somewhat left the left, or he's still got a little bit of left in him, but he actually left. Jack Murphy, who was always on that podcast, on Timcast, he left the left because he got completely tired of what the left was pushing, what the Democratic Party had become. Karlyn Borysenko was actually kicked out. So technically, if you're kicked out, you're not really truly disaffected. You're just kind of politically homeless, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, so when you come over and you think you can change an ideology and try to get people to adopt gun control, say that CRT is not anti-white, things of that such right there, you're kind of barking up the wrong tree. You're not doing yourself, and you're not doing us a service. You're actually seems like you're coming over and you're actually judging us, if you know what I'm saying. That right there is one of the biggest reasons why I think Karlyn should not be allowed in the party. Just make her go vote third party or whatever. Or try to explain to this woman, maybe somebody can actually red pill her and explain, look, we don't need you coming over here and trying to destroy what we have worked so hard to create, which is a constitutional society with actual freedoms and laws that is actually free of the radical left trying to ruin our lives. Karlyn does not get that right there. And of course, as I've stated before, on a CRT position, she's coming from a northern white liberal's perspective. And that right there needs to be rejected. If she cannot somewhat conform to what people on my side of the aisle are doing, or at least meet us halfway on that and stop trying to change things and stop trying to preach to us, then we might be a little bit more accepting. But that right there is a reason why I personally think she should be rejected at every cost, at every turn. She should be flat out rejected. Unless she's willing to come over here and not pass judgment on conservatives, we need to reject the absolute hell out of her. Guys, John Claymore here. If you like the content, hit the like button, subscribe, share the video itself in the comment section, and I will see you guys. Also, make sure you guys leave your thoughts on the video itself and the lighting and everything. It's something I'm experimenting with now, so make sure you guys do that, and I'll see you guys later.